What's good, guys? It's Khalil Jamar. Hope that all is well with you guys. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. If this is not your first time on my channel, welcome back. Now, the other day I had been watching the NFL Combine, which is basically an event held for the top college prospects getting ready for the NFL draft. And what the NFL Combine allows for is an event that allows college athletes, it allows them to showcase their ability one last time before getting ready for the NFL in order to increase their value for the teams that are looking for the next best players to join their team. Anyway, one of the tests in the Combine is the bench press. And in the bench press test for the NFL Combine, the athletes go for as many reps as they possibly can. And watching these guys bang out as many reps as they possibly could, a lot of them are very strong. So it got me wondering, who are some of the players that have played in the NFL that, were the strongest NFL players to ever kind of exist? And also, could any of them compete with some of the elite and top level powerlifters that we do see today? Now, after doing some research, I was able to find about 4 athletes that were the strongest athletes within the NFL, but I do think that they could also have been top level and elite level powerlifters. So I'll start with number 4, and who I have at number 4, I was actually surprised, but it's Larry Allen. Many football fans, especially Cowboy football fans, know that Larry Allen was one of the most not only athletic guards to ever play in the NFL, but he's also one of the strongest offensive linemen to ever play in the NFL. Just to give you an example of how strong Larry Allen was. Larry Allen was able to bench upwards of 600 pounds. Some people say that he was even able to bench 700 pounds, and he was also able to squat over 800 pounds. Now, these are already 2 very impressive numbers. To bench press 700 pounds, only a handful of men have been able to bench press over 700 pounds, and that's regardless of the sport and what their athletic profession is. Only a handful of men have been able to do that. So for Larry Allen to be able to do that is clearly extremely impressive. And for him to be able to squat over 800 pounds is also impressive as well. As far as when it came to his deadlift, I couldn't find too much information on the amount of weight that Larry Allen was able to deadlift. But the reason I do have him at number 4 on this list, again, it's very surprising to me that he came in last out of this list, but it does come down to pound for pound strength. Larry Allen did weigh over 300 pounds. Pound for pound, he's just not the strongest guy on this list. But again, he did have an incredible bench press. And the fact that he was able to be one of the few men to ever live to bench press 700 pounds or more, he definitely could have possibly been a contender with guys like Julius Maddox, maybe even Danial Zamani. Number 3 on this list, I'm going to have to give to Vernon Davis. Now, with Vernon Davis, there's not too much to say about this guy and his NFL career because you would really have to watch him play to understand how good Vernon Davis was. To give you a little bit of a kind of a story of the first time I came across Vernon Davis, I remember watching his combine and seeing him run a 4.38 40-yard dash. And I thought it was kind of weird because he looked like a pretty built dude. And then his weight came up on the combine. He weighed 254 pounds. So once it connected in my mind that a 254-pound man had just run a 4.38, I immediately changed the channel. I had seen enough. That's all I needed to see from that year's combine because he had just set a new standard for athletes coming into the NFL. It was the first time that I had ever seen somebody have the size of a linebacker and run just like a wideout. The funny thing about guys like this who are, big like this and fast, they tend to be very strong, and that applies to Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis was able to bench press 460 pounds. I believe the most he was able to squat was about 685 pounds. Similar to Larry Allen, I was unable to find any real information on his deadlift, but I think I can compare him to somebody who has somewhat of a similar background and does have that genetically freakish build. And the person I want to compare him to is Kevin Oak. Now, the reason I do compare Kevin Oak and Vernon Davis is not only because they have this similar kind of build, but also because they have the same type of background. Kevin Oak actually had a career in track and ran track at Villanova. And Kevin Oak, as we know, is able to deadlift over 800 pounds. Now, I'm not trying to say that Vernon Davis would be able to deadlift 800 pounds off the bat, but I think it is good to compare the two to kind of understand the type of strength that Vernon Davis does have and what he may have been able to do on the deadlift. Second on this list, I do have Terry Long. Terry Long did have a pretty decent career in the NFL. He played in the NFL for about 7 years. And to be in the league that long is impressive regardless of what you do when you're there. He may not have had the career that Vernon Davis or Larry Allen did have, but he was definitely stronger than the two. Just to give you an example of how strong Terry Long really was, he was so strong that colleges kind of ignored his ability to play football and his experience within football. They just cared about how strong this guy was. And let me tell you about his numbers, because it completely makes sense as to why colleges completely overlooked his football ability. At Terry Long's first and only meet at about 300 pounds, he was able to squat 837 pounds, bench press 501 pounds, and then deadlift 865 pounds. And at the time, that deadlift almost set a new world record. I also want to emphasize that this was his first and only meet. And the reason I do want to emphasize that is because he was able to total more than Bill Kazmaier did when he won his world powerlifting championship. Now, Bill Kazmaier is, a legendary powerlifter who again won the world powerlifting championship by being able to total 2,149 pounds. Terry Long completely blew this out of the water by being able to total 2,204 pounds. Again, this was his first and only meet, and he completely demolished a record of a legendary powerlifter. Now, the number one person I have on this list actually still plays in the NFL, and that person is Andrew Billings. Now, I don't think a lot of people know about how strong Andrew Billings really is. I think what he was able to do within powerlifting is really overlooked because of his ability to make it to the NFL. But what he was able to do in high school was absolutely incredible. In high school, Andrew Billings, I think at the age of 18, was able to squat 805 pounds, bench press 500 pounds, and then deadlift 700 pounds, totaling over 2,000 pounds in high school. These numbers would allow Andrew Billings to break a record that was set by Mark Henry about a little bit more than 20 years prior. And we all know who Mark Henry is. If you don't, you need to do your research. That is the top 4 NFL players that I believe could have been elite level powerlifters. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Did I get this list right? Do I need to rearrange the list? That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you do like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you do leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you guys later.